everybody. Welcome in. Good morning, good week, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light in conjunction with Yellowhammer News. So glad that you're with us here today to kick off another big week of sports action, a lot of college and NFL, high school playoffs, and some basketball to boot.
Ooh.
I'm John Longshore. He is Barry McKnight, and we are in our palatial studios this morning.
Yes. Who called this past week crap week number 2? What was that all about? Man, there was some good football. I'm coming off, still haven't fully come off, of a big win for the Troy Trojans on Saturday night at Statesboro. Troy beats Georgia Southern 28-20. Troy's now won 2 in a row, and somebody let the Trojans get hot. Yeah, really good game.
How about the shock value on Saturday night? What was the mood with the Georgia Southern crowd? Were they not leading their division of the Sun Belt?
They were leading the Eastern Division, fat and happy and everything.
Yeah.
And Troy won it by 8, late touchdown to really kind of seal it, a late interception.
That's called an oh, by the way.
Yeah. Because they were a dog, and
yeah,
they were about to win the game outright, and there was still some concern at the end. But 3 plays, the touchdown keeper by the quarterback, Matthew Caldwell, the interception by safety Justin Poe on Georgia Southern's last possession, and then on a 3rd and about 4, a rollout pass to the right, hit the tight end for 23 to get the first down, and then you can kneel it out. Big win for Troy. Very proud of them. The Trojans starting to look like Troy football. And afterwards, Coach Parker had told him during the week, because they bust to Statesboro, he told him during the week, look, if we win, I'm taking you to Buc-ee's. There's a Buc-ee's in Warner Robins, which is kind of on the way. If you lose, we're going to the Love's Truck Stop. Nothing wrong with the Love's Truck Stop. But the guys were amped up about Buc-ee's, and he said on the postgame TV interview on the field, he said, hey, we're going to Buc-ee's, and they did. There's tons of social media about it. And it was really fun. Big win for the Trojans.
Let's see, Danny from Margaritaville is about to hit the send button right about now. Yeah.
Now.
So Warner Robins, I've heard. Where is that?
It's not far from Macon. Let's see. Former Georgia quarterback Jake Fromm is from Warner Robins. They're one of the big 4 from back in the day, and somebody help me on this. Either William Andrews, Joe Cribbs was from Sullivan. I think it was James Brooks.
I think you're right.
Let's see, William Andrews, one of the big 3. One of those guys went to Warner Robins, I think. Yeah.
One of that trio of running backs. Charlie Trotman, of course, was the quarterback for those guys back in the day when Doug Barfield was the head coach at Auburn. Big win for the Trojans, no doubt about it. I will say this. I did not know there were any Buc-ee's in the state of Georgia. I thought Alabama was as far east as they went.
I did too. Yeah.
I've learned something today about that as well. Yeah. I'm never in that part of the state of Georgia, but hey, if I am one day, I'll pull into that Buc-ee's. I got to come clean, Barry. I did not see a lot of Alabama or Auburn play. I think there's several reasons why I didn't.
Okay, let's come even cleaner. Let's get squeaky clean here. Did you watch any of it?
Does college football final count?
Yeah, clips, highlights after the game don't count. Were your eyes, because mine were not. I mean, I was busy. I was working.
Yeah.
Did your eyes at any point get exposed to live football from Jordan Hare or Bryant Denny on Saturday?
I cannot lie. No, they did not. I did not see one live play. I did see, because I've got it set up on YouTube, anytime Auburn or Alabama play, it automatically records it. I found out even on ESPN Plus, it does that because of subscription, so it recorded it. So I was able to watch a little yesterday. I didn't see the college football final, but from opening kick to final whistle, I did not even hear any of the radio broadcast. Saturday was such a beautiful day. I actually played golf. And I thought to myself, when's the last time I've actually been playing golf while Auburn and Alabama both were playing live football?
Wow.
And, I don't know if I've ever done that before. There's a first time for everything. And with the beauty of videotape and replays and stuff like that, I was able to take advantage of both. So
that's
but I can't say
hard to imagine
with either one because I'm not really sure what I saw.
Now, this from our River Region Straw chat line, our buddy John Holman says Greensboro College went to Buc-ee's in Auburn, even though they lost to Huntington 38-7. Boy, the Hawks are really good again. Mike Turk's got them rolling, John.
Oh, you better believe it. Great game day atmosphere over there, man. I'm telling you, it's awesome.
Greensboro College, which is near, where I graduated high school, Greensboro, North Carolina. The Greensboro College Pride.
Yep.
No wonder you lose by 31. Anyway,
that
go to the Buc-ee's. Why not? That was great. So
do you get what? Do you get chocolate covered marshmallows with almonds, or do you go with the jerky? What are they going with over there?
Well, the big thing with our guys, and the thing is Coach Parker paid for it. It wasn't.
Oh, wow. I mean, there you go.
He I don't know how much the whole bill was. We were conjecturing on it, but the video, it's on social media. The video was of him. He said, hey, I took 2 credit cards to do it. So evidently, one of them was with his debit card, which usually has a daily limit. He hit the limit, and he had to go to another card to finish out the rest of it. The big thing, evidently, they've got really good brisket sandwiches, really good brisket.
That's what I've heard.
And the players hit the brisket hard. Heck, if the coach is paying for it, you're not going in there and getting a bag of popcorn and a Sprite. So, I mean, you're hitting them up.
I wonder if the players that are 21 and over, were they getting like a 12-pack for the ride back to Troy?
That would be no. That would be no. That's a hard, firm no right there. Yeah.
I would have attempted to do that. Hey, coach, I'm legal. I mean,
I got a question, Auburn fans. I've seen ULM play live with my own eyes. They snuck into Troy and got a win early when the Trojans were hurting. They're not great. No, they're now 5-5. They've lost 4 in a row. They scored a late touchdown with 8 seconds to go.
Ooh, yeah.
On a 65-yard touchdown pass. You talk about, oh, by the way. So
they affect the number, though. Auburn did comfortably cover that game.
And I think they got a little too comfortable on that last play because anyway, so that prevented they got within 34. It was 48-14 final score there. This is how the line score ought to look for Auburn. Peyton Thorne started.
Yeah, we're gonna get that. I think that's on the wheel.
Not a bit of Hank Brown. Yeah. Walker White saw some action, but this is how an Auburn line score ought to look. An Auburn box score ought to look. Jarquez Hunter ran for 100 yards. He's got 1,000 now this year. Freshman wide receiver Cam Coleman. What's the story? 8 catches, 3 touchdowns. 100 yards. None of them was like a long bomb or anything like that, but he made 1 catch that will pop your eyes out.
Saw it.
This is what the Auburn fans were expecting maybe from early September.
Yeah.
But they finally got it. Played a lot of people. Same thing with Alabama. By the end of the game for Alabama in their 52-7 win over Mercer, the walk-ons were playing. I saw a picture. Hey, offensive lineman such and such and so, a walk-on scout team member got his first action in his Alabama career. I think he was a senior. And, after the play, he's waving to his parents in the stands and all that. Big deal. It's a big, big deal.
Barry, I don't think I have ever, maybe when Alabama beat VPI 77-7 or whatever the score was.
77-0.
77-0.
Something like that.
I don't remember Alabama ever playing a game where 5 different quarterbacks took a snap.
5.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Maybe VPI, and for you younger people out there, Coach Bryant called him VPI till the day he died. That's Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Back then they called him VPI.
Virginia Poly. Just like some of you old guys still call Auburn API.
What do you mean, old guys?
4 quarterbacks for Alabama threw passes.
Yeah.
Milroe, Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan.
Austin Mack had a touchdown pass.
Austin, that's what I was leading up to. Who on God's green earth is Austin Mack?
He came from
He
Washington.
sounds like a pro wrestler.
Well, that's true. And speaking of that, Dennis up early today on the chat line. Thank you, Dennis. Like our first or second entry today on the chat line. Dennis up really early. Yeah, I was surprised to see him. And then the fifth guy, I never heard of before.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look him up because he's not even in the box score.
Yeah,
he didn't even he didn't throw a pass. I did see it
in a write-up. One of the articles I read about the game, his name was actually in the write-up, but I did not recognize it.
Yeah,
5 different quarterbacks saw action. Austin Mack threw a touchdown pass, the transfer from Washington. So, yeah, that's great, and that's all warm and fuzzy, and everybody's happy, but they don't tell you anything. I mean, that's why I didn't feel guilty, when I was putting a peg in the ground Saturday afternoon, going, now I will say this, Barry, in all transparency, I was monitoring the scores. I will say that. And the people I was with, they were asking me, what's the score? Oh, my Lord. Geez, Mercer's up 10-7.
Yeah. So actually, my guess is that John wasn't playing for funsies in 2 different sports that day. Yeah.
So. And these guys, hey, man, you want to go play golf Saturday? And went, yeah, we got a little juice on it. Oh, great. Yeah,
I'll be there. Yeah. What time?
Yeah, you better believe it. So, it is. Anyway, it is crap week in terms of who Auburn and Alabama play, but there were some other really good games this week. Georgia, Tennessee, certainly a good one, tied at halftime. The Bulldogs able to pull ahead. That was big for them. Some upsets as well around the country, and I know we'll be discussing those. Tom Luganbill will join us at the top of the next hour, as always. So, the excellent college football analyst for ESPN.
A recap of the Phantom in order later.
Now? You want to do it now?
This is how I kind of test the waters to see how the Phantom did. Also, a Dreamland Pick 3 winner will be announced. I'm not sure that there is a draw-off wheel.
Barry, I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. There will not be a spinoff. We only had one contestant, one participant. Sweep the board. We had a few that were hanging around. Our man JR, Cincinnati, got him last night. Our man Robbie from Greenville, the 49ers, got him
on that late touchdown. Robbie.
So
but
there were
the Steelers won.
Yeah, they did. But a lot of people got Tennessee hurt a lot of people this week. A lot of people got hurt by Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee ends up losing. We were listening to that game coming back from Statesboro. Like John says, tied at halftime. Georgia shuts out the Volunteers in the second half, end up winning by 14, which 14 is a larger number than 8.5. Just saying. So, yeah.
That is true. So, a lot of good participation, I should say, in the Dreamland Pick 3, but there is no spinoff in that today.
I want to be thinking about this before the break because we want to talk about this as well. Auburn fans, are you back on the beam now? Got a win under your belt? This could be a big stretch for the Auburn Nation. Get a win. Sure, it's ULM, but it's a win. How surprised are you that Peyton Thorne started? How much did that help get ready for a big game at home against Texas A&M on Saturday? And along those same lines, you got basketball tonight at Neville Arena against the Lions of North Alabama. 8 o'clock start time for that one. It's on the SEC network tonight. So, this could be a big stretch, a big 3 days for Auburn fans' collective psyche and confidence, John.
It certainly could be a big game Saturday night, Texas A&M. How about this, Barry? The Aggies only a 2.5-point favorite at Auburn. Would you have thought maybe that would be a little higher? Today might be a bigger favorite, but I mean, Vegas thinks Auburn can certainly stay close, and looks like they think they think Auburn can possibly win this game as well.
Well, let's follow that up, that line of thinking up. It's a good way to go to break. Alabama is in Norman. You guys are going to have to get your clickers ready, maybe buy some extra AAAs, because Auburn plays at 6:30 on ESPN. Alabama kicks off from Norman against the Oklahoma Sooners, 6:30 on ABC. The line in that one?
14. Opened at 2 in the summer. Back in the summer, Alabama 2-point favorite. Now they're a 14-point favorite Saturday night. Barry, I got that problem worked out. It's called dual screen. I'm going dual game. Both games on one screen on Saturday night.
I don't have that option.
Yeah. No. YouTube TV, boom, got the dual screen. Or you can go quad box. I mean, if you want to go 4 games, shopping for a budget-friendly commercial, oh, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk all about that. And a subject we talked a lot about last week, we're going to have to start talking about it again this week as well. So get ready for that. Your chats, our River Region Straw chat line is up and going. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. You can email longshore@mcknight@gmail.com. We'll certainly take those from you as well. And we got a lot going on today. As I mentioned, Tom Luganbill at the top of the next hour.
John opened up the segment, but his identifier, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with the fabulous people at Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car, or maybe a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram? Well, in Prattville, it's always a process that starts with the team of professionals from Stiver CDJR. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it's safe to say that Stiver's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But hey, just don't take my word for it. Experience the Stiver's difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stiver's CDJR, where price spells cars and trucks on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our Thanksgiving week specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our Thanksgiving week specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our Thanksgiving week specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Enjoy all the food, drink, fun, and winning at Victoryland. An elevated entertainment value, the best overall casino experience, and the highest jackpot payouts makes Victoryland the place to be. Go to Victoryland.com to find out more about their incredible giveaways, daily promotions, and free play opportunities. 777 Casino, simulcast Thoroughbred, and Greyhound Racing are all within a short drive from anywhere in the Southeast. Victoryland, I-85, exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. At Victoryland, you can be a winner too. Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946. Okay, free play has already started at Victoryland, so take advantage of it today. Free play throughout the day today at Victoryland, exit 22 off I-85 in Shorter, Alabama. You can be a winner, too. It is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Barry, have you ever watched a UFC fight? One of those cage deals, that they just
I have
out of each other?
I've seen clips of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like with UFC and MMA and all that. I'm kind of like you were with the Auburn football game on Saturday. I'll look afterwards and see what happened and everything, but that was about it.
I did see a little of the Mike Tyson fight on Friday, a little bit of it. I didn't realize they were only going 8 rounds and they were only 2-minute rounds. And, after about 2 rounds, I thought, this is a joke. I ain't watching this. But the UFC thing, obviously it's a big, big event. People love it. They had one at Madison Square Garden last night, and Trump and about half his cabinet were there at the event. See, you're talking about a security nightmare.
Don't get me started on that, because we don't talk politics on the program except every once in a while with an interview. But that's one of the things I think, not a big factor, obviously, but that's one of the things I think that helped get him elected. He has really helped present himself as more of a man of the people, kind of common man kind of thing. I don't think he is necessarily, but, he'll go to stuff like that, and he'll, and the people are like, he ain't like a billionaire. He's one of us, and, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Kid Rock was there with him, too. Man, what's his deal with Kid Rock?
Here's the deal. And Kid Rock, by the way, native, a resident part-time of Pike County, Alabama, where I'm situated right now. But here's my deal. We left after our show from Stivers on Friday. The Troy Team Hotel was actually in North Augusta, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Right across the Savannah River from Augusta, Georgia. Beautiful hotel, wonderful thing and all that. We went out to eat at a nice place like we always do on the Friday before a road game. Settled in. My roommate is the great Representative Chris Blackshear, who's a state representative. He's our sideline reporter. And, man, he was all about, we've got Netflix, so he got it in our hotel room. So we watched that gum thing from Jerry World. We must have watched 3 hours of it. I was, I'd been up early, even though I was ready to go to bed, but we're watching it and everything. I learned a couple of things. Number one, I'm with you. It was a colossal waste of time. I'm sitting there thinking, man, Tyson, I don't know how much he's getting, but there ain't no way he'll last more than 3 rounds. He's 58 years old. Well, you're going to last 3 rounds more if all you're doing is sitting there like this the whole time.
Yeah.
He had a couple. When he comes out with that brace on his knee and he's limping out and everything, and I don't know if he spoke a word to anybody the whole time. I knew it. I knew the fix was in. I also learned that some women's boxing is legit.
Oh,
the undercard right before Paul and Tyson was Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. They were beating the holy dog snot out of each other, John.
No,
it was amazing.
I've said this many a times since we've been together. I went to high school at Jeff Davis. The best fights in the lobby at Jeff Davis were between 2 girls.
The problem is back then when you were going to school at Jeff Davis, how should I say this? All the girls' hair was their own.
Yeah.
Nowadays, in a girl fight, if you grab the hair, it's over. It's done. But this one was incredible.
Yeah, when 2 guys get together, it's like boom, and it's over. Girls are slapping, they're pulling, they're
windmilling back and forth and everything. They're talking the whole time, like,
if you heard there was going to be a fight, like after the first, class and that first break of the day, everybody was there waiting to see it.
It was must see at that point. But also, probably, and I hope everybody takes this the right way, probably the biggest winner in that entire show was that ring round girl, the tall blonde-headed girl.
Oh, yeah.
She was beautiful. And I found out, Chris and I, he was doing some Googling, and that she was to school in Alabama.
No way.
Her name is Sydney. There's a lot of great ladies out there named
with a
Sydney.
C?
Yes. No, Sydney, not Cindy.
Oh.
And schooled at Alabama, and she was beautiful.
Girl,
after that thing, yeah, Sydney. Yeah. I wish I could think of her last name. I don't know if I ever knew it, but
she was the girl with
the card girl. I mean, she was the one.
Okay.
She was the one like behind. Well, after the women's match, and I thought Serrano won it, but they gave it to Katie Taylor, the Irish girl, and everything. And afterwards, they're interviewing. This is Netflix. I mean, there's F-bombs everywhere.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they're interviewing the losing girl's manager, and he says, next time we'll fight her, and we'll have a referee who knows what he's doing and is bleeping this and bleeping that. And she's in the background, and I guarantee you 90% of the guys ain't hearing a word that manager is saying.
Yeah, we got to dig that picture.
Yeah, and she's got like 800,000 new Instagram followers. Nice. But the whole thing, the whole presentation, somebody got it right on Twitter afterwards. They said that entire Logan Paul, Mike Tyson telecast presentation is indicative of everything that's wrong with American society right now. John, it was all pizzazz, lights, flashing lights, smoke, screaming ring announcer, well-endowed ring girls, but the substance of it was absolutely not there. It was nothing.
Made for TV event, and there again, you know something's wrong when it's 2-minute rounds, only 8 rounds, and not good. Hey,
now, Kirk. To Kirk's question, he said, you didn't know women's boxing is legit. You think it's wrestling? No, I don't mean legit like it's fixed or anything like that. I mean, I didn't realize just how physical it was. I mean, those girls, they were boxers. Now, were boxers. They were, jab, jab, cover up, jab. It was, and they were throwing haymakers. That was the most entertaining thing about the whole experience.
Yeah, they legit. There's no doubt about that. Unlike, female midget wrestling back in the day, it's not legit, I don't believe.
No, it's
Dennis,
not.
no offense, but Dennis, I just don't think it's real. Hey, I am jealous here. I need to know more from 2-time caller of the year, JD, who chatted us up on the River Region Straw chat line around 7:23 this morning. Barry, how about this weekend JD experience down in the Crescent City?
JD says, I took a trip to NOLA this weekend with JD Jr. Nice. Caught 2 Pelicans games and the Saints game. Great time. Email incoming later today about the experience. Here's what's great. They played the Browns.
Yep.
And the Browns are really bad. Jameis has been playing well. They had a big video of everybody from the Saints greeting him afterwards. Evidently, he was pretty popular when he was with the Saints and everything. But the Saints are not great, but they win the game handily. My buddy, Gunnar Whetstone, man, he was down there. He and a bunch of his buddies, his son Hunt, who he wished happy birthday. The whole crew was down there for that one. They had a great time. Even, Saints win at 35-14. The Saints are now 4-7, but the Browns are 2-8. They were rooting for the Browns. Huge Browns fans. But it seems as though watching the Saints at the Superdome is a lot like, well, I'm not even going to say it, but even when it's bad, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
There's experiences like that. Yes. Evidently, even when the Saints aren't playing real well, it's a pretty good time watching the Saints at the Dome.
I agree totally. They got it figured out. I mean, I don't want to say it's like minor league baseball and they don't care what the score is. It's just all about the experience and the party. Right. They do care what the score is, but it is. There's a lot going on. It's electric. It is. I agree. I'm with you, and I hope they had a great time. I do know the Pelicans got beat by the Lakers. I don't know who the other game was that they played.
Yeah.
But that's pretty smart, JD, to figure out when the Pels and the Saints are in town at the same time, get a double dip, and in your case, you got a triple dip. That's and the Pels games are just the same way. I mean, it's the energy and the excitement and everything going on. I mean, they want to win, but sometimes they don't, and they make up for it in having a lot of fun with that experience.
The Cavaliers, by the way, Gunner's other team, a buddy Gunner. It's a Gunner Whetstone show today. The Cavaliers are the fourth team in NBA history to start 15-0. He's a big Cavaliers fan as well. Can you imagine what it was like this past weekend in Louisiana?
Oh.
Chris, the Bammer, said, John, did you listen to the LSU postgame show? It was entertaining. LSU, Georgia, Saints play 2 games for the Pels that night. I'm telling you.
Pretty good. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of problems in Baton Rouge, more than maybe we thought that there were. I mean, when Brian Kelly takes his team to Gainesville, a team that's reeling, that got blown out the week before, and you're thinking, okay, LSU's going to get right here. And then you've got players and the head coach getting into it on the sidelines.
Say what you want.
Major issues.
Say what you want about Bo Nix and Seth Williams having an uncivil word to each other on the sidelines. And believe me, my co-host did say what he wanted about that for years. Or,
as a
in a bowl game, an Alabama player bowing up to an assistant. But, Brian Kelly, you didn't need to do that.
I saw a video of somebody trying to read Brian Kelly's lips, and I think a few of the words Brian used, Bo Nix used those same words.
Well, yeah, and that manager for that female boxer on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight used those same words. That same word, a lot. Where do you think you're going? Who do you think you are? Don't turn your back on.
For Brian Kelly to basically say, it's reported that he told that kid, you are uncoachable.
Yeah, somebody else said he was saying you're hard to be coached or something like that. But you see stuff and you see like captions at the bottom of things. You think, yeah, okay, that's where he said that. I get, okay, he said that.
Yeah.
If somebody were to tell me that he didn't say you are uncoachable or you are bleeping uncoachable, I'd have a hard time believing him, because that looked like it was exactly what he said, I mean, down to the syllable. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one to stomach there. All right, a couple of things that we want to get to. I know Chris the Bammer is wanting that wheel. We got the wheel loaded up, ready to go.
Yep.
Got that for you. A lot of other topics we're going to get to. We'll let you know this. Barry mentioned, here are what we're looking at this upcoming weekend. Alabama, a 14-point favorite on the road at Oklahoma. Auburn, just a 2.5-point underdog at home against Texas A&M. Does that number surprise you there? Ole Miss minus 9.5 on the road at Florida. Texas is a 20.5-point favorite hosting Kentucky. And what about Vanderbilt? They're heading down to Baton Rouge. LSU, coming off back-to-back losses. LSU just an 8.5-point favorite against Vandy. With that team chemistry, how things seem to be going down there, could Vandy slip in and maybe give LSU their third straight loss? I don't know. We'll see.
Can you imagine? Well, a lot to get to. The wheel is coming up. The Phantom recap. The Phantom keeps texting me saying, hey, I'm ready. Not time for him yet. Plus our Dreamland Pick 3 winner as well. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959. $59.59 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Blowout at Marguerite's is on. Door busters. We got lab-grown 5-carat diamond bracelets, $16.50. Half-carat diamond stud earrings, lab-grown, $99. 1-carat diamonds, $4.99 in a 14-carat mounting. You got to be kidding me. Every single item in the store has a crazy whack-out price, and our inventory is better than ever. We're ready for Christmas, and you can lay away to Christmas Eve. Don't miss the blowout at Marguerite's. The early bird catches a diamond.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the River region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the River region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Presented by Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, in conjunction with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check them out at yellowhammernews.com. Also on Facebook, Instagram, X, you name it, they're on it. Yellowhammernews.com for all of your news, politics, sports, lifestyle stories. Check it out, yellowhammernews.com.
Well, big shout out for Chris the Bammer. Yeah, Chris the Bammer. This may be a record even for him. The coffee must be strong this morning. We are 37 minutes into our live show, already 11 chats from Chris the Bammer. That's the thing about Chris. If he thinks it isn't going to be, maybe I'll just keep that to myself, or I'll think about it. Chris the Bammer, if he thinks it, he's throwing it on there, man. This is all train of thought from him.
Yes, and Chris hits me up with, hey, John, LSU's lost 3 in a row. Hey, Chris, you got to factor in the off week. They didn't lose that week.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, come on, Chris.
It was a non-losing weekend.
Yeah, it was a non-losing weekend. I mean, okay, yeah, technically, I guess they have lost 3 in a row, but they did have an off week in there. So, it's not like 3 straight weeks in a row. I mean, come on. Wow. Gee whiz. All right. You can get it on the chat line as well. It's open and going right now. How about our man Tobias?
Yes.
Tobias at 7:35 this morning talking about the committee. I'm not sure I totally agree with this one.
Yeah, he says, question, gentlemen. The CFP committee doesn't care about strength of schedule. They only care about you having no losses. If that's the case, why play a 9th SEC game or big non-conference games? He must have been listening to Saban over the weekend. I think they do care. I don't know that you can necessarily just issue a blanket statement like that. For the latest playoff ranking, for instance, you had Indiana at number 5 outside the 4 who get the opening bye. Indiana's 10-0.
Yep.
But Ohio State and Penn State are both ranked ahead of Indiana, and each of them has 1 loss. Why? Yeah. Because Indiana, all hail the Hoosiers. I love them. Signetti, their head coach, just became the highest paid employee in Indiana University history last week.
More than Bobby Knight. Wow, that's amazing.
But they haven't played a very strong schedule. That's why Indiana is 5 undefeated rather than Ohio State and Penn State.
And I've said this for a week or so now. I think the final college football playoff bracket that will be submitted, the one that's, the real one, and this is who's playing and this is where they're slotted. I think it's going to look different than the ones we've seen up to now and probably the one we're going to see tomorrow night. I think when they put that final one out there, strength of schedule, matching opponents, all those matrix that go into it are really going to factor in more into that last one. Why? I don't know, but I just feel like it is. You're going to see some teams moving up in strength of schedule, comparing schedules with other teams, score differential, and the eye test. You're going to hear a lot about that in that last release of that bracket. And I think teams are going to move up. And one, and I'll just go into it right here, that I think could move up. If Alabama wins out, if they beat Oklahoma Saturday and Auburn the following Saturday, they're moving up. And it's really, yesterday, this hit me like a brick. If Alabama wins out and Missouri wins one of their next two games, just one, Alabama's going to the SEC championship game. Missouri's got Mississippi State on the road and Arkansas. I got to think Missouri's got a good chance of winning at least one of those.
I do too. All right, Alabama's 8-2. To me, there's three levels of the college football playoff. Obviously, you'd love to be one of the top four, get a first-round bye. If you can't, at least try to get a home game, which means you need to be in the top 8. Alabama right now is 10. So what John says takes on added impact, because if they do win out, I don't really care what anybody else does ahead of them. Tennessee's going to drop. They were at number 7. BYU is going to drop. They lost over the weekend. They were number 6. Really, what you want to do is be in the top 4. If you can't be in the top 4, be in the top 8. And Alabama would definitely host. If they win their last 2 games, they host the first round game, which is a big.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So,
and Barry, I'm kind of changing my stripes here a little bit. The more I think about it and talking with some people, if Alabama does win out and goes to Atlanta, and I get it, I'm one of these guys, hey, you got to have the mentality you're going to win. I still believe that today. Yeah, we're going to win. I get it. But if they don't, they're still going to the college football playoff. I cannot imagine a team in the SEC or the Big Ten playing for their conference championship game, losing and not going to the playoff. I just can't see it happening unless it's a 42-0 blowout.
Well, how about this in that regard? Because that's what I was about to ask. What if Alabama is, top 8 going into the SEC championship game? I don't even know who they would be playing. I haven't even looked. It doesn't really matter. But if they lose, if they're losing by 14 in the third quarter, I mean, you go in there and say, okay, let's see how the breaks go. Let's see how hot Jalen is and everything. And if you got a lead, pour it on. But if you're in the third quarter and you're down 14, I'm playing Austin Mack at quarterback. I'm giving walk-on offensive linemen. Yeah, I remember the day back when I played for Alabama and I got in the SEC championship game. If I wouldn't sell out and expend all of my energy trying to come back from 14 down in the third quarter, I'd say, well, I guess it's just
you might have some people with a financial interest in the game, hoping that you do.
Yeah.
But if you go to Atlanta and you win, you're a top 4 seed,
right?
Conference champion. And if you lose, you're probably a 10 or 11 seed, because the non-Power 5 team's going to be the 12 seed.
Yeah, they could be more, but they're back there. I'm saying if Alabama wins the SEC or goes to the SEC championship game, even if they just go, they're going to be top 8 and would host. Now, obviously, if you win it, you get that bye, and that's a big deal, but I wouldn't absolutely just kill myself in the SEC championship game.
If they lose the game and say it's, they lose 24-21.
Correct.
Something like that.
Or 24-17, 24-14, something like that. As long as it's not a bad blowout, they don't look terrible.
So you think if they lose by margin like that they will still be in the top 8 as a 3-loss team?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it depends on what everybody else does. Probably would need some help. Indiana would have to lose a couple, including losing big this week to Ohio State. Notre Dame, which is kind of hanging around there, which always makes me nervous about Notre Dame because people lose their minds over Notre Dame. I still think it could happen. Again, part of me has become jaded because of my association for a long time with John, who's skeptical of everything. But I just don't know that those suits in the college football playoff committee's smoke-filled rooms are turning down the possibility of a televised first-round college football playoff game in Tuscaloosa. If it's at Bloomington or it's in Coral Gables or Provo, that's okay, I guess so. But if it's Alabama, I don't know that they're turning down a chance to.
And how about this, Barry?
Mess around with it and fix and cook the books a little bit and put a first-round game in Tuscaloosa.
And everybody's all these national guys are coming out with their playoff scenarios. And as I saw back in the summer, I'm seeing it even now. Alabama, Notre Dame, first-round matchup. South Bend or Tuscaloosa. I've seen both
Well,
ways.
yeah, that's what makes me nervous about Notre Dame. I think Alabama's better. But that's the only thing that could kind of put a wrench into what I'm thinking. Notre Dame.
But see what I find interesting, Barry. I saw some predictions like Ole Miss in Alabama. I got to think the TV suits don't want Ole Miss in Alabama. We've seen that movie before. We want to see Notre Dame in Alabama. That's what we want to see. We'd love to broadcast that game. Ole Miss in Alabama. Well, okay, if we have to. I mean,
I know it's not supposed to be that way. They're not supposed to think about potential matchups. But if you've got CBS or television suit go, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Yeah. What do you got? That's happening.
All right. So here's another. You know me, I'm always thinking ahead. So Bama's got Oklahoma this Saturday night in Norman. They're a 2-touchdown favorite. Okay. Say they beat the Sooners, which they should. Big favorite on the road. And then it's all boiling down to the Iron Bowl. They got to have one more win. Get into Atlanta. Missouri's beaten Mississippi State. They've done what they need to do. So the Tide just needs to beat Auburn to get to Atlanta, to strengthen their playoff chances. And Auburn's got a 14-3 lead going into halftime at Bryant-Denny. Woo! The nervousness. I mean, Hugh Freeze has pulled out all the stops. I mean, Bama fans sitting there by the concession stand going, I knew it. Freeze has been waiting for this game all year, been practicing for us all season long. Yep.
I knew I didn't like that, DeBoer. The fans will either be gathered around the concession stand at halftime griping, or they're all going to be sitting in their cars in their driveways if they're not at the game themselves, listening to Andy and Jason.
Oh, heck yeah. So we kind of previewed this for you. We told you November was going to be a real interesting month, and it's certainly shaping up to be one.
Yeah. Even Philip Marshall says, though, that's a long shot. I quote from Philip. It's really the only quotable thing from his lot to like about Alabama's win over ULM column at auburnundercover.com. He says this. He says, quote, winning at Alabama will be a long shot. The Tide rarely loses at home. And Auburn has lost by double digits in their last 5 trips to Bryant-Denny Stadium. At the same time, this Alabama team doesn't look as fearsome as it often has in recent years.
Philip, does Auburn have a game this weekend?
No, he did talk about Texas A&M a little bit beforehand.
Does he have a better feel of Texas A&M? Because he has been down on the Aggies for years.
Now,
I don't think Robbie's Jimbo Fisher. I think Robbie had a problem with Jimbo.
Yeah, Robbie and Kellen Mond for some reason. Robbie from Greenville is up, and he's caffeinated. He's already hit us up several times, and he is absolutely Alabama's big. His 3 chats have all been about Alabama deserves to be in the playoff. You know, they got 4 wins over the top 25 or something like that. Going over there, If Alabama goes 10-3, it should be. Yeah, okay. You've said that already 3 times, Robbie, but he says this at the very end, his last one, and he is pounding the drum hard. He is banging the monkey hard for Alabama, the college football. Robbie, I don't think you have to worry about it. I honestly don't. If they take care of business, they're in, don't worry. But at the very end, he says, quote, it's not about TV ratings. The college football playoff is about matchups. Robbie, it's the matchups that bring the TV ratings.
Yeah.
I agree with you. In a great, big, beautiful world where the sky is blue and birds are singing and things are the way they should be, the college football playoff doesn't make its decisions based upon TV ratings. But in what John likes to call the real world, I'd be shocked if there wasn't some input into those with all of the millions.
Robbie,
but I don't think you have to worry about it. Robbie, I want some of your texts, some of your chats to be about even high school playoffs or something like that. I don't want every one of your texts being, Alabama should make the playoffs. I don't think you got anything to worry about.
You know, Robbie, I will agree with you here. I do think Alabama's strength of schedule is going to be in their favor.
No doubt.
That's why I think in that last bracket that is released, that you could see Alabama move up because of their strength of schedule. So I'm with you there. Robbie, there's no doubt. The networks are paying way too much money. They want the best matchup they can get, and if they're going to, use their muscle to get it, they're going to do it. So just
I don't
be ready
think there's
for that.
any question. Bill from Baltimore chats in. He says, any insight into the Troy team pit stop at Buc-ee's? Bill, you must have missed the first segment. Huge win for the Trojans. I think everybody hit Coach Parker up. They were not shy in loading up on that. The XXL Buc-ee's beef brisket sandwich. I think the Buc-ee's in Warner Robins, Georgia, had a record-setting night that night. And happy birthday, Bill. Bill celebrated a birthday, I think, yesterday. Awesome. So there you go.
Happy
Appreciate
birthday,
it.
my man.
Well, let's take a break. Still to come, Tom Luganbill from ESPN will join us. Yes, Chris the Bammer. Yes, we will hit the Pick Three. Yes, Chris the Bammer. We will talk about the Phantom. Yes, Chris the Bammer, we are going to get the Dreamland Pick Three.
Hey, it is
we have a producer. You just don't see him, but he is here.
Yeah, I mean, we got to pace it out. We don't want to give you everything right out of the jump here. We're spreading it out for you.
We want you to keep watching Longshot McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speed associated with our installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Both locations offer fully stocked pro shops with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com.
This is YHN News. I'm Scott Chambers. Warm weather is on the way out. Cooler temperatures will impact Alabama late week with highs in the 40 to 50 degree range with lows in the 30s. Most of the state will be warm on Monday and early Tuesday before the thermometer drops. A front will move in late evening today, bringing much needed rain. Some areas will see up to an inch of rain through Tuesday evening. Areas of South Alabama could see severe weather. Initial filings for unemployment benefits in Alabama rose last week compared with the week prior. New jobless claims increased to 2,060, up from 1,936 the week before. U.S. unemployment claims dropped to 217,000 last week, down 4,000 claims from the week prior. I'm Scott Chambers. You are listening to YHN News.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
So, Barry, you mentioned the lady that was the ring announcer.
No, she was the sign girl.
Sign girl.
She was one of two. She was there at the weigh-in of Mike Tyson, Logan, Jake Paul, and she was there at all of the other. She was working now. She wasn't wearing very much, and she was. Nature spent a lot of time on her. I mean, she's and so anyway, and afterwards they had the interviews, the ring interviews, and she was always in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That thing had 60 million viewers for that thing. 60 million. It topped out at 65, but averaged 60 million viewers. Yeah. And it was the biggest crock of nothing fight you ever saw in your entire life. Her name is, Chris, her name is Sydney.
Sydney Thomas is her name.
That sounds right. And somebody told me she went to school at Alabama.
Yeah, allegedly she was a Zeta.
Hey, my mom was a Zeta at Florida, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what, that's kind of the nickname for what are the three Greek letters? What is it?
Zeta Tau Alpha.
Zeta Tau Alpha. So she was a Zeta in Alabama. Barry, I'm just saying, pardon just kind of eyeballing it here, so to speak. I think she's had a little work done.
I don't think so.
You think those
I didn't.
Wow.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time learning how to tell the difference or anything like that. But
they just don't look in proportion to the rest of her body. I'm just saying. I do know a couple of plastic surgeons in town. I'll ask them, get their thoughts about it, and report back. But it's just so-called eyeballing.
I know there's probably a lot of my guy friends who could not care less. But she's very pretty.
Yeah,
and she has gained a jillion followers on Instagram. I'm just thinking that my whole point of the whole thing is that if there was a star of that entire telecast, it was her.
Yeah, she. I mean, you might need to go back and take a look. Yeah, I never heard of that lady before.
I might need to go back and take a look. I could just see. Yeah,
maybe I should send this to you because this actually came to me, Barry, via the River Region Straw.
No, don't send me any pictures of girls in bikinis or whatever. That's not necessary.
Well, there's only two of them where she's actually in a one piece, but then she's dressed up like an elf for Halloween too. Yeah. Anyway, getting close to the top of the hour, our man Tom Luganbill, excellent college football analyst for ESPN, will join us at the top of the hour, brought to you exclusively by our friends at Riverbank and Trust. And, of course, Riverbank and Trust with locations throughout the River region, throughout the state of Alabama. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference, and they invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond with Riverbank and Trust. As I mentioned, locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama.
Tom,
and there we have it. Our man Tom Luganbill joining us here this morning. Hey, Lugs, hope you're doing well.
You guys on this fine Monday morning.
We're doing really, really well. Gosh, it was November the 16th. You're in Chapel Hill, North Carolina last Saturday. How beautiful was that, huh?
So it's funny because I actually played my best college football game at Georgia Tech against North Carolina in that stadium. And I'll never forget rolling up to the stadium in the bus, and I'm looking around, I'm like, this place is gorgeous. Like, I mean, the trees and the pines and everything that surround it. And I've since done probably 10 games as a broadcaster there, and they've done a really nice job of enhancing it. They got all the powder blue seats, and it looks really good. It's a great venue, and it is a beautiful campus and spot. If anybody's ever been on UNC's campus, and listen, Mac Brown might be doing one of the better coaching jobs he has done in his second stint. When you consider they're on their third quarterback, they've got a patchwork offensive line. They had a tragic death of a teammate in Tylee Kraft. They had a 4-game skid, which included James Madison scoring 70 points on them at home. And now they are winners of 3 in a row, have accumulated 20 sacks in 3 weeks on defense. And Amarian Hampton is an absolute nightmare as a running back. If you took Amarian Hampton, guys, and you took him and Ashton Genty and switched their uniforms, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them.
Really? Because Genty up at Boise State, he's now on pace to break Barry Sanders' single season rushing record, 2,600. I didn't think anybody would ever sniff that again, Tom.
I know. Well, it's interesting because we don't see any bell cows anymore, right? We don't see load carriers, the guy that's going to carry it 25 to 35 times a game every single game. Now it's, let's interject this guy. Let's get 2 backs on the field at one time. Let's preserve this guy's legs, and everybody's going to get a bunch of touches. Well, that's how it is in Idaho.
Tom, speaking of the running back, I saw a statistic earlier this morning. Alabama does not have a running back in the top 10 in rushing yards to this point in the season. Jalen Milroe I think he's in the 7th spot of the 10 highest leading rushers in the league. Is that going to come back to bite Alabama as the season progresses and if they make their way into the playoff?
I don't think so. My answer to that is who cares? Everybody, I think I said this to you guys last week, Mike Leach used to talk about balance and he would say balance is a bunch of baloney. Balance is what works, right? Well, I think what's happened is Alabama has found what works. And right now, forcing defenses to add an extra hat in the box, if they choose to do so, to defend quarterback run is what is working for Alabama. Remember, if they choose not to add an extra man in the box, then Alabama is going to continue to try to run it, whether that's with the running back position or with the quarterback position. This just may be one of those years where Alabama is having to find a different way and a different mode of operation. I'd say the same thing about them on defense, guys. Alabama is not the same team on defense if they're not pressuring. When they started to realize our best chance at being disruptive, creating negative plays, creating turnovers, sacks, pressures, hurries, affecting the quarterback, is we got to be a 5 to 6 man rush team. We cannot be a sit back and read and react team. And once they made that decision, and I think it coincided with them getting some confidence in the younger players on the defensive back end, all of a sudden they started turning the dogs loose, and nobody's been able to have an answer for Alabama on defense.
Let me ask you about a couple of games in the SEC, and I'm not interested in Alabama, Mercer, or Auburn, ULM necessarily, but I'm, and again, my family is a Gator family. I grew up in them, all that kind of stuff, my sisters and brothers and all that. So I follow the Gators. I was shocked that they beat LSU, particularly by double digits. I also was a little bit more than mildly surprised at some of the clips of Brian Kelly on the sidelines. What's his current circumstance, Tom?
So let's start off with Florida, and I've been a staunch supporter of Billy Napier and the job that he has done there. I think if you're a Florida fan, message to Florida fans, have some perspective, right? And in my opinion, Florida fans are to blame for a lot of the negativity around the program because they're so relentless, they never let up. It's a constant cloud of negativity over the program all of the time. You don't think that seeps into the minds of the players? You don't think that seeps into the minds of the coaching staff and the administration? What I've seen is a football team that has clearly shown significant improvement, clearly believes in the vision that the head coach has, which I think is why Scott Strickland said, hey, listen, these guys think this is the right guy. Let's let him have an opportunity to see if he is. But I think also what you saw is when you have a quarterback, you have a chance. DJ Lagway is 3-1 as a starter. He's 3-0 in games he's finished. And I think they would have beat Georgia had he not gotten injured in that game. So the progress is being made there. And Florida fans need to realize that some of the best players on that team, Jaden Ball being another one, running back, he's a true freshman too. And so there are some foundational pillars here that are being cemented that should be very encouraging. And so I wasn't surprised actually that they beat LSU. Now by double digits, I think that's maybe to some degree surprising. But in relationship to Brian Kelly, this isn't anything we haven't seen before. You go back to his early days at Notre Dame in those first 4 to 5 to 6 years, and his, face is beat red on the sideline, and it didn't matter who was in the way, a coach, a player, an administrator. This is just how he is. I think he's tampered it down to some degree over the years, but clearly there seems to be, if you can read lips at all, there seems to be a displeasure amongst the players and how they are interacting with him, and then how he's interacting with the players in return.
Outside of the SEC, should Oregon be concerned by only winning by 3 on the road at Wisconsin, a team that certainly has struggled this year?
No, because I think this is just another example of the razor-thin margin of error and the fact that nobody is immune. Everybody is susceptible to getting punched in the mouth against a team that's not as good as you are. You're on the road. You don't play great. You somehow come up with a way of winning the game. We've seen it all year long. We've seen it from Alabama. All right. We've seen it from Texas. We have seen it from Georgia. We've seen Georgia look pedestrian, right? We've seen it from Clemson. I just think that this is the type of season that we're in now in college football, where the spread of wealth of talent has been spread so thin across all measures of college football that it's hard to maintain that 1, 2, 3, 4 competitive depth that you need to be a dominant team every week. I don't know if anybody's capable of doing that each and every week. Now, what we saw on Saturday from Georgia is that when they don't beat themselves, they are likely that team.
Yeah, they beat the Volunteers and outscore them and shut them out in the second half. One thing quick about Wisconsin, it feels like back in the day when Tuberville was coaching Auburn and he let Tony Franklin go, they get rid of Phil Longo after that loss.
And I really thought Phil Longo had done a nice job managing a backup quarterback situation with Braden Locke after you lose Tyler Van Dyke. And now what do? You got to go back to the drawing board, right? So, there was a lot made of that hire when it came from Luke Fickell, just because we'd all become so accustomed to looking at Wisconsin and identifying with them as being this. Now they were going to be something completely different. A lot of people ask, well, can you get the type of athletes at Wisconsin to be in that, offensive scheme? I still think it's, possible, but clearly something's not right in terms of the relationship between Fickell and Longo.
Hey, your thoughts about Dana Holgorsen being the OC at Nebraska? They lose at Southern Cal, but I saw a little bit of that game. That offense, even though they lost by 8, looked to be a little bit more in sync.
Well, a couple of things I'm not surprised by. Number one, I'm not surprised that they've struggled with Marcus Satterfield as the offensive coordinator. And then when you go and you make a move like Matt Rule did with a guy like Dana Holgorsen, the writing's on the wall. That was only a matter of time, because how is Marcus Satterfield supposed to respond to that?
Right.
All right. So you eventually make that move. And now you have this massive challenge. And we don't know how many wholesale changes they've made. But clearly you're going from what Nebraska was for the last year and a half and came into this season with from an identity standpoint to basically an air raid RPO-based team. How much of the lingo changes? How much of the terminology changes? How much of the scheme actually changes? Or are you asking Dana Holgorsen to implement a couple of wrinkles here and there, but utilize what the current offense's verbiage and terminology and approach has been so that you don't screw up the whole of the offense? So I think there's a lot of challenges doing what Matt Rule is attempting to do. And Dana Holgorsen right now is probably on a interview right now for the next couple of weeks to see if he's the guy to take the permanent residence in that office.
Yeah. I guess based on the point spread, A&M needs to be on upset alert Saturday night at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
I think they do. But at the same time, two things. Number one, everybody always talks about how difficult it is to play at Auburn. And I agree. I've been on that field a lot of times in some really, really big games. But nobody's been able to actually go down. Like Auburn hasn't taken care of business against teams that are any good. Okay, so well, how difficult is it to play there right now? Is that a result of people just becoming accustomed to the environment, or Auburn not being very good? And so, to me, I know the game versus ULM was a great game for Cam Coleman. What a breakout performance for him. Auburn played, pretty well against the subpar opponent, and they should have. I think that should be noted. But which Auburn team takes the field against A&M? One that's going to be penalized and turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, or one that's going to protect the football, value the ball, play smart football, get the ball into Jarquez Hunter's hands, and get that game into the fourth quarter in a one-possession game? I don't trust that Auburn's a team that will play clean. I would actually trust that they will probably do the latter.
How important is the game in Norman against Alabama for Brent Venables at Oklahoma?
I think Brent Venables is fine because I think there's an acknowledgement internally. And I had done several Oklahoma games the last couple of years as they were prepping to make this move. And I think institutionally and administratively, they knew, yes, they're Oklahoma, but there was still a lot of work to be done to compete in the world that the Texas and Alabamas and the Georgias and the LSUs are competing against, with collectives and name, image, and likeness and resources and all of those sorts of things. And quite frankly, they weren't where they needed to be. I think that does affect your roster early on when you're trying to build one. They have improved dramatically defensively. The quarterback position has been an issue due to injury and some ineffectiveness. You make a change in the offensive leadership position in the middle of the season when things aren't going well. It's just a confluence of variables that don't generally lend to having a lot of success when you're making a jump up in level of competition. And so they've taken their lumps. From an Oklahoma perspective and how they view Brent Venables, I don't think Brent Venables is in any danger right now, regardless of how the season ends. I do think the pressure is immense starting this offseason going forward in terms of their utilization of the portal, how they play out in recruiting, how competitive they are in name, image, and likeness, and all of those sorts of things. So it's a big deal. And then come, this weekend, what type of pride do they have left? What are they playing for? You're going to Norman. It's a tough place to play for an opportunity for Alabama. Hasn't been up there. Is Oklahoma the type of team that's got the pride and the self-worth to show up and create a huge grenade in the college football playoff landscape?
Luke, I'm interested your thoughts about the ACC. Clemson had a late score to beat Pitt. We saw what happened to Miami against Georgia Tech a week prior. How do you think that's all going to play out?
Well, it hasn't played out very well for any of them except for SMU. And then BYU going down late Saturday night into early Sunday morning doesn't necessarily help SMU as well in relationship to that being their only loss, a 3-point loss to BYU, 18-15, and I think week 3 or 4 of the season. I still don't think that there's a guarantee that 2 ACC teams won't get in order for that to happen from a playoff perspective. I think you'd have to have Miami and SMU play each other, and you'd have to have SMU beat Miami, which could potentially still keep Miami in the college football playoff as a second ACC team if the committee values a team that had to play an extra game versus a ranked opponent who ends up with the same record, all right, as a team that didn't have to take that risk, let's just say out of the ACC, out of the Big Ten. And how does the committee quantify that? We don't know that yet. If let's just say Alabama makes the SEC championship game and they were to lose and they have 3 losses.
Right.
So now you've played in the SEC championship game against a top 3 opponent, probably if you're playing Texas, and you've lost. So now you have that 3rd loss, and there's 3 or 4 teams with 2 losses that didn't have to play that game, didn't have to run that risk. And I think this applies to Notre Dame too. And so I don't know how the committee is going to do that if you have a 2-loss ACC team that lost in their championship game versus a 3-loss SEC team that lost in their championship game. Who's getting bounced out? But I'll say this. The thing that's interesting about this week in particular is pay close attention to what the committee does with Tennessee. Because remember, when Georgia lost on the road to Ole Miss, they dumped them. I mean, they dropped them way down. Well, now you've got Tennessee that goes on the road. All right. Tennessee's best win is versus Alabama. Aside from that, they lose at Georgia. Is the committee going to treat Tennessee the same way they treated Georgia? Or if they don't treat them and tumble them that far down, Tennessee is still the bubble team that could be on the outside looking in, because if Boise State wins the Mountain West, Oregon wins the Big Ten, let's just say Texas wins the SEC, and you've got yourself a ACC winner, let's just say Miami, you have to put the Big 12 champ in, all right, because they have to make the playoff. That sets Tennessee out of the playoff. They're a bubble team now. And that's going to be very interesting to see what happens with them in terms of how the committee decides to drop them on Tuesday night.
Well, yeah. Plus, if Texas A&M does win out, that means a win over Texas and everything. I think what Georgia's win over Tennessee helps do is it keeps that possibility in play that the SEC could land 6 teams in the playoff, and Tennessee would be that 6th, especially if Texas A&M gets hot down the stretch. 6 teams in a 12-team playoff, is that even worth discussing, Tom?
Well, I mean, if you're going to look at it, you're going to say, okay, Alabama's in, Georgia's in, Ole Miss is in,
Texas,
Alabama's in, Texas or Texas A&M, right? So that's 5 right there. But Tennessee would be the 6th one.
Right.
And the scenario I just talked about, it's not likely, because you have to put. Because here's the deal, and this is a great reminder for fans who may not understand this. It's not the top 4 conference champions, or top 5 conference champions. It's the top 5 highest rated conference champions, which means, and this could happen. What if the Tulane Army winner, all right, ends up being ranked higher than the Big 12 winner or the ACC winner? Because if that happens, then it's Boise State, the Big 10, the ACC, all right,
and Tulane.
Either the Big 12, or it would be the American Conference champion. So that's still a possibility.
Wow.
Yeah, watch out for Tulane. They're playing pretty well.
Yeah.
One quick thought here about the Colorado win that they had over the weekend against Utah. They win it by 25. Travis Hunter, he becomes the first college football player and only the second player in the college or the NFL to 50 receiving yards, a rushing touchdown, and an interception in the same game. Is it his to lose the Heisman, Tom?
In my opinion, and I have a vote, so I got to be careful what I say. They'll come after me. There are going to be people that will, because we got to always remind myself. The definition is it's college football's most outstanding player, not the most outstanding quarterback, not the most outstanding running back, right? And when you look in totality of what that young man has accomplished, now he's got to stay healthy, right? The remainder of the way. It is something that has never been done before in the history of the game, right? I mean, really, at the end of the day, has anybody ever in the history of the game logged that many plays per game ever? And that's
every game.
In every game, exactly. And what's happening and what is helping him is that the team's better. Because, I mean, winning a Heisman Trophy on a 4-8 team or a 6-6 team likely is not happening no matter how good you are. But there's a guy by the name of Robert Livingston. Do you know who that is?
No.
And neither does anybody else.
Robert
Livingston is
Livingston,
the most undervalued assistant coach in America right now that should win the Broyles Award. And that is the defensive coordinator at Colorado, and nobody even knows who he is. And how that team on defense has helped complement what they're capable of on offense is why that team's in the position they're in right now.
Tom, just a guess. Where do you think Deion Sanders will be at the start of the football season next fall?
Well, I think a couple of things could play into that as it relates to Colorado, in the sense, do they make some real inroads at the high school recruiting level because of the success on the field? Do they continue to be somewhat of a hot destination spot for certain targeted portal guys? He'd have to ensure that he's got a quarterback. I think that's the thing, to keep him in Colorado, to have a chance to keep this momentum going. Because listen, you're going to take number 2 and number 12 off the team, you're going to have a big impact.
Yes.
And the rest of the roster is going to be exposed to some degree. That's just no matter how much they've improved, right? Those other 2 guys make them probably better than what they actually are. So I think he'd have to feel like he's assured that they've done enough in recruiting through the portal and the high school ranks, particularly at the quarterback spot, to continue this run. I think it's anybody's guess. Nobody has a crystal ball. He has said repeatedly that he's not following his babies. He's not chasing them around. Whether that remains to be seen, we'll see. But it's one of the greatest questions looming on the horizon in college football, because it answers the one question that everybody's asking: does he care about coaching college football if there's no Shiloh Shedeur or Travis Hunter?
That is a significant question. No question about it. I've got that same question. Tom, where will you be this weekend?
Another car ride for me. I've got Virginia Tech at Duke, and Manny Diaz trying to finish it. I mean, it's amazing. Duke could end up going 9-3, and they came out of spring football last year and had 40 guys on their roster.
Jeez.
They had to make up so much time in the summer just to put together a roster. And they're in a position right now to be in a great spot. So we'll see if Virginia Tech, coming off of a bye week, actually they're both coming off of a bye week, and Virginia Tech's really struggled the last couple of weeks with the Clemson loss and going up to Syracuse and leading by 3 touchdowns and losing. We'll see if Brent Pry can get things back in order.
Well, Luke, as always, man, we appreciate your time each and every Monday here on the program. We look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great week, my friend, and we'll see you next week.
It sounds good, guys. It's going way too fast, man. I'm telling you what, man. Holy smokes. We wait off season, the entire off season, and then the whole season in the blink of an eye, it's gone.
Yep, true. Appreciate you, Luke. Thanks.
See ya.
Great stuff. Tom Luganbill joining us here today, brought to you exclusively by our friends at Riverbank and Trust. Riverbank and Trust, with locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference, and they invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust.
In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Shopping for a budget-friendly, reliable used car or a stunning new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram in Prattville is a process that should always start with your team of professionals on your side. Thanks to years of experience helping others in the local community enjoy premium service, low prices, and access to a wealth of amazing new and used cars, it is safe to say that Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is the name to beat in Prattville. But don't just take my word for it. Experience the Stivers difference for yourself. Prices that will not be beat, a huge inventory, and knowledgeable, helpful sales associates. See why so many happy car and truck buyers shop at Stivers CDJR, where Price sells cars and trucks. Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams. The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And, of course, our association with Yellowhammer News. Really appreciate the great comments on our chat line about our news update brought to you by Yellowhammer News. You'll be hearing that throughout our program, and we greatly appreciate that. Kind of keep you up to date on everything that is going on. And also, Barry, our good friends at Stivers, right over there by your left shoulder, I think, right there.
Oh, yeah. Right here.
Yeah, right there. Awesome.
Yep.
Really appreciate our good friends from Stivers Automotive.
Yeah, not only Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery, where we'll be this Friday, but also Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, which is why I loved Luganbill's hat, what he was wearing.
That was an old school. Did you notice that? That was an old school Jeep logo. I picked up on that.
I liked his room. I know we don't get a wide shot of my room, but I got a ton of books in here in my study and a ton of paraphernalia and stuff. Luke's had the Jaws framed poster in the background, right when the shark is just about to eat that girl and everything. It was Luke's is a well-rounded guy. Love our commentary from him every week, brought to you by Riverbank. Is it time to I know we usually do the Dreamland Pick Three results before the Phantom, unless in the rare occasion that the Phantom insists on getting his in before the Dreamland Pick Three. So we do have some business to conduct.
We do have some business. We got to get to the Victorland 777 topic wheel today as well.
Yep.
You know, Barry, as you well know, in TV, they have something called a shot sheet, which kind of lets you know what's coming up after the next break and in the next block.
It's something that on the Fox NFL coverage at halftime that Terry Bradshaw totally ignores when he's doing highlights. Drives me absolutely nuts. Terry, I know for a fact you have got a clipboard with a sheet telling you what the highlights are, and he never can keep up. Why do they do that? A shot sheet. Yes.
So does Chris the Bammer, does he have our shot sheet? Because he's, it's like, this should be coming up now. This should be coming up now.
Yeah, Chris is a frustrated TV producer. Hey, Philip Marshall now. Philip Marshall. Guys, Philip Marshall.
Chris, I think it is Phantom time. Now, I can go ahead and tell you, it's not a lot of suspense in our Dreamland Pick 3 competition this week.
That's true.
Because Tennessee got a lot of people. I will say that. A lot of people. Next week, I'm going to count how many actually people entered, because it does take me a minute to decipher through all of these.
Tennessee fans, how do you deal? How do you deal? Because some of you like to put a little something on the game and everything. But man, when it gets to crunch time, boy, they will turn into pumpkins.
Oh, sure.
Only have to change their color scheme. It's unbelievable.
So we had several that had some NFL games outstanding that we needed to check on. One of them, as a matter of fact, had the game last night. Unfortunately, he was on the wrong side. We had some others that had the Monday night game tonight, but they lost earlier, so they were already out of the competition.
Right.
So it really came down to just one person. Only one person. See, it goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, how difficult it is to pick winners against the spread. And I love to remind people, years ago, people go, Phantom. What's he know? I can
do better than the Phantom, and I don't even try. Yeah. There's a little thing called the number. It's the great equalizer. It separates the men and the ladies from the boys and the girls.
It certainly does. And it's not easy to do. Well, one person swept the board this week. His name you might recognize.
By the way, yep, he picked all dogs in his picks. Am I right?
No.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
Yeah, this is the one from this week.
Okay. Yep. There
November
we go.
The 15th. Yeah.
Yep. Now, that gentleman in the picture is no longer with us, unfortunately. A great American hero who I never thought got as much credit as he deserved. It's not that Neil Armstrong, although the Neil Armstrong who won it is a buddy of mine, and he's probably heard that and seen that and had that comparison made about 5 million times in his life. But his name is Neil Armstrong. Spells his first name different.
Okay. How did the astronaut spell it?
Neil.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong. I'm a big NASA nut because I grew up just south of the old Cape Kennedy.
Sure.
But this guy spells his name Neal Armstrong.
There you have it.
And he was the only one. The board. He has already probably started making his plans for that $50
and you know
worth
what,
the Dreamland barbecue.
Neil was feeling good going into Saturday because he had a winner Friday night. He had a Friday night winner.
Yeah. Unlike the Dwarf, who once went 0 for 3 on Friday and on Thursday and Friday and was out before we even got going into the weekend.
So Neil had the Washington Huskies on Friday night laying 4. He had Saturday Illinois minus 2.5, and Missouri on Saturday night, I guess, plus 13.5 in a game they almost won. So there you go, Neil. Good job. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Outstanding. Neil or your man. I don't know if I've ever met Neil, but
one of my great friends. Yes.
Yeah. That's
salt of the earth guy. Yeah.
Barry, also from the River Region Straw VIP text line, it says, tell Barry that's not nature with that Bama girl. This guy
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I've made a study of it or anything like that. My only main thing, number one, she's very beautiful. I mean, everybody can say that. But number two, my limited experience talking with my male friends about this type of thing.
Yep.
I don't think it matters that much to a lot of my male friends. I don't think they care that much. As a matter of fact, Dee just stuck her head in here and she just stuck her head in my wife and she goes, John, so, hey,
I'm more of a natural kind of guy, but that's just me. This texter says he went on her IG.
This is my buddy Neil Armstrong. Hey, if you've got the same name as one of the most famous Americans in history, why not play it up? Now the main comparison is both of those guys. Our winner, that's our winner right there, Neil Armstrong from here in Troy, and Neil Armstrong, who did what he did, land on the moon, whatever. Both great Americans. Both of them are. How about that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I have met Neil. I know that guy.
Yes, you have.
Actually, in our River Region Straw VIP texter tells me that he went on her Instagram account and saw a high school basketball photo of hers, and he claims he's got a bigger chest than she did back then. But just saying.
She's very pretty.
She's cute. But I've never seen her before because I don't watch a lot of.
She's all right.
She's cute. I did send Gern a picture of that was sent me. Maybe he can load it up for us and we can all take a quick eye. Chris the Bammer says she passes the eye test.
Yeah, there is that type of an eye test too. Believe me. Those are also, sometimes you watch a game, if you're a college football playoff committee member, John, and you think, wow, they looked really good. Man, they're flashy. Look at all those big plays and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes the eye test will mask some flaws or some shortcomings.
Yep.
Sometimes that's the same thing happens in her line of business as well. You pass the eye test, and it camouflages a lot of issues.
Maybe, Barry, I'm not saying she has, but, back in our radio days, I always wanted to have a contest where we gave away a boob job. Maybe she won one on a radio show. You never know. But I always thought,
but you always wanted to have it buy one, get one free, and that didn't seem like the thing to
me,
do.
That is just a great promotion. A boob job giveaway. Maybe we can do that on this.
That's
format.
what.
Who knows?
Didn't they do that one time on Family Guy with Brian and with Bingo and the baby? I don't know.
That was
one
Cindy
time,
Ness.
way back in the day. This has got to be 20 years ago. John and I did a remote radio broadcast from an old restaurant in Auburn down there on the corner of Magnolia and Gay Street. It was called Aubie's. It didn't last forever. And one of the things they wanted us to do was to interview this young lady from Auburn University. She's a student. I can't think of her name. But I think she works in Montgomery now. Got a couple of kids.
She does too, yeah.
And she appeared in a pictorial in Playboy magazine, the girls of the SEC. And she came by and we interviewed her. And John, I swear to God, she looked like Daniel Craig in the casino at Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I'm over there. I look like that buzzard in the Looney Tunes commercial and the Looney Tunes cartoon. And John was asking the tough questions. Most of them were off the air, but I kept thinking, man, if I can just get out of this right now, I'd be a happy man.
What I remember about it, I remember talking to a representative from Playboy magazine to get that interview set up. A nice lady out in Los Angeles, and some of the questions I asked her, I still chuckle when I think about them.
The answer to one of them, I don't remember what the question was, but the answer was the word grooming.
I did. I said, what's the biggest difference between girls in the Pac-12 and girls in the SEC? And she didn't bat an eye. I didn't hesitate and said, grooming. I just started dying laughing. But the thing that I remember the most, Barry, we're sitting there with this nice young lady. I can tell Barry's
She's
a
a
little
nice girl,
uneasy. He's going, man, where is this going to go? This could be the toughest 3 hours of radio. And I had actually brought a copy of the magazine with me. And I said, oh, yeah, by the way, would you mind autographing the magazine? So I'm thinking she's going to autograph the front of it. I mean, she knew exactly by the feel of her thumb what page she was on. And she turned it right to it. And she's signing that thing away. We're kind of looking at her live. And then
she's not wearing any clothes on the picture that she signed. To me, that still blows my mind.
I'll never forget that. That was a good
Neither
one.
will I.
All right. Did we go to Hong Kong buffet number 2 after that? No, that was D. Jackson.
Yeah, that was later. And there was something later on after that had to do with the restroom. But
okay.
Anyway,
what the Phantom did. Let's see.
Well, let me rinse the brain out here and all that and everything. Okay. I got the Phantom's picks. I reached out of my backpack and got them here.
Excellent.
Let's see. The Phantom, as always, it's presented by Kenny and the staff at River Region Straw. Call Kenny up at 669-5959. Truly.
Sure.
Premium long needle pine straw. You're not buying a lot of trash in there, a lot of sticks and a lot of pine cones and stuff like that. 669-5959 for River Region Straw. Locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and a location now over in Auburn for all your premium long needle pine straw and that premium aged firewood for the cold winter months ahead. Okay.
You got Thanksgiving coming up. You got family and friends coming over. Make sure you got plenty of premium pine straw to make your yard look its very best, and that seasoned firewood if we happen to have some cold days around Thanksgiving or any time for that matter.
Now, the first one that the Phantom went with, the game was Texas minus 13.5.
Yeah, it was.
At Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Final score, Texas 20, Arkansas 10.
That's all we needed. We're good there. Yep, there's a winner. Catching 13.5, good to go with the Hogs against the Longhorns.
Yes.
Then kind of a sentimental favorite team of mine. I don't take them all the time, but when I do, I usually research them pretty well.
Yes.
BC at SMU. Everybody's all over SMU. and BC kind of hung around.
They did. SMU is all that. There's no question. That's a good program. But and they're playing at home, so you figure SMU, they might end up covering that. SMU 38, BYU 28.
How about that? 19
That's
and a half.
a winner.
That's enough.
Yeah. There you go.
I watched some of this game before the Georgia-Tennessee game on Fox. Nebraska at Southern Cal in the Coliseum. Nebraska had a chance to tie this game at the end of regulation.
Yes.
Didn't really matter, but I was kind of pulling for them.
Nebraska was a 9-point underdog against the Trojans of USC, and they lose by 8. Oh, they almost – and he picked the Phantom, went Nebraska on that one. Boy, they almost didn't cover, Phantom. Almost.
There again, Barry, another single-digit loss by the Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
This team has lost so many games by single digits, it takes two to tell it.
Yep,
All right,
there
Barry,
you
our
go.
last game was Tennessee at Georgia. It's tied up 17-17 at halftime. Feeling okay about it. I will say this. This is the game that I was the most concerned about on my card. I just thought that 10.5 smelled a little bit, but I just thought they could keep it under that number, but really like that half point. I could have seen a 30-20 type game, 27-17. That's kind of what I was hoping for.
Right.
But Georgia was able to score that extra TD to win it by 14 was it 14, the final 31-17?
31-17.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we lose that one. 3-1 on the weekend, winning weekend. We're 26-23 on the year, 3 games over 500. And I'm going to tell my nephew one more time, I don't know when you're going to start listening to me, but you better, kind of like Friday night when I told you better get on Kansas as well against BYU. That would have been my 5th pick if I was picking 5. Love Kansas against BYU as well.
They won it outright.
Yeah. He tells me Friday night, I love BYU. I said, okay, love them all you want.
So there you go. There you go. Okay.
So
the Phantom brought to you by Kenny and the staff at River Region Strong. Call them up 669-5959. Dewey Oxberger.
Yep.
Says, right before we go to the wheel, Dewey Oxberger just now on the chat line says, does this wheel have anything about the number 2 team in college basketball losing over the weekend?
Well, Dewey, when we get back from this break, you just might see that on the Victorland 777 topic wheel. Have you seen the shot sheet too? I mean,
learning something new. You now know what in the world of television. You now know what a shot sheet is. And you just heard a tease.
Yes.
Oh, that's coming up. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Is there a certain Ford car, truck, or SUV that piques your interest, but you are not quite sure if it fits into your budget? Or perhaps you want to upgrade your current vehicle, but you absolutely refuse to deal with the same old aggressive and pushy song and dance that is found at the average car dealership? Then Stivers Ford is here to show you a better way. Their knowledgeable and courteous sales staff, the largest Ford inventory in Alabama, and of course, price. At Stivers Ford in Montgomery, Price sells cars. 4000 Eastern Boulevard at the Troy Highway. Or check out their inventory at stiversfordofmontgomery.com.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our Thanksgiving week specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our Thanksgiving week specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our Thanksgiving week specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Before we get to the wheel, Coach has emailed longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. He has a question and a comment. The comment geared toward that VPI game I referenced earlier. I think the score was 77-0 in that game. And then he also asked about one of our legendary callers from back in the day, Steve in a truck?
Yeah, Steve in a truck. He says, good morning, men. The best story from the VPI game. And again, I don't know if there's been a bigger makeover than Virginia Tech. Yeah. They're called the Virginia Tech Hokies now. Back in the day, they were the VPI Gobblers. He said, good morning, men. The best story from the VPI game. Coach Bryant said at the post-game press conference that Big C was going to play nose guard, but he left his helmet in the locker room. Coach, I don't know about that. Number one, not that Big C couldn't play. When Big C played nose guard for Fort Dale Academy, man, they always said when you on the line play, low man wins.
Sure.
Big C had that knocked, man. He had low man.
I could see Coach Bryant maybe saying that just to kind of give Big C a little love. Of course, Big C was a manager.
There ain't no way Big C's forgetting anybody's helmet in the locker room. Anybody.
Big C had all the jerseys, the tearaway jerseys around his waist and 2 or 3 footballs underneath his arms. Oh, Big C, legendary national champion manager of the Crimson
Tide. Coach also asked this, speaking of the ring girl, and John has identified her as Sydney Thomas, an Alabama student. She was the girl holding the placard, and she was always in the background, drawing eyes away from what was going on. He says, speaking of the ring girl, does Steve on the deck still have a beaver problem?
We talked. Remember that?
On the deck.
He sure did.
Yeah. Beavers were really giving him a hard time. He was having he was on the air with us and he lost his train of thought because he was thinking about the Beavers the whole time, which
he said
John said,
he was on the phone with us.
Yeah. He said, a lot of people have a hard time because they're thinking about the Beavers too much.
I don't think there's a lot of pelt there. Okay, anyway, let's go to the Victorland 777.
Please, yes. You can email us longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com.
Let's go to the Victorland 777 topic wheel. We've Terrence, was it Terrence that wanted to ask? Oh, Dewey was asking about
Oh, wow. Does the wheel have anything to do about the number 2 team in college basketball losing over the weekend? Okay, it's going real slow right now. Let's fire it up. What do we got?
Spin it. Oh, man, look at all these topics. Gee whiz. Look at this.
We got a late start. We got 6 of them. Let's go.
All right. The surprise, Barry, is not Gomer Pyle. It is the Troy Trojans going into Statesboro, Georgia, and knocking off a Georgia Southern team that probably was expecting to win that game.
Well, Troy 2 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago was 1-7 and questioning things. Well, the team never did. The fans, I get it. You're 1-7. It's a program that has won more Sun Belt championships than anybody. Meanwhile, on the other side, Georgia Southern was 6-3. They were 4-1 and leading the Eastern Division. And Troy went in there and they won it. They won it 28-20. Walk-on quarterback Matthew Caldwell scored 2 touchdowns himself. He threw for a touchdown. He threw for like 280, something like that. He was nominated for Sun Belt Player of the Week. It was the 100th victory in Sun Belt play in history for Troy, which is more than anybody else in the league. Bear in mind that Troy got into the league 2 years after the league started. So there's a lot of other schools in that league that had a 2-year head start on the Trojans. Troy now has 100 league wins. They win it 28-20 20. Troy has won the last 2 after only winning one of the first 8. And Troy and John
I
Troy.
know they play Southern Miss. Who they play this week?
This week, it's a trip at Louisiana against the Ragin' Cajuns, who are leading the West. So back-to-back games against the division leaders. It's in Louisiana. The Cajuns took a loss last week at home against South Alabama, so they're going to be pretty ticked off. It is a 4 o'clock start time on a Saturday from Cajun Field. We'll be on the air beginning at 2. And then, John's right, the final game of the year will be at home on the 30th against Southern Miss. That game time has yet to be set.
I see Southern Miss is like a 24.5-point dog to South Alabama this week.
Yeah, they are. They're terrible. They've had a coaching change. They're going to have to hire a new coach. I think they are 1-8. Whatever they are, they're 1-something, and they lost 58-3 last weekend against
one against. Okay, Gurn, let's spin the Victorland 777 topic wheel. Got a lot to get to in the next 10 minutes, so let's spin it and see what happens. All right, round and round she goes. And, wow, how interesting. We've been talking a lot about those type things this morning, it looks like.
Easy now.
Thorn bush. When you were little, Barry, you stepped on a thorn.
Yes.
Just, do kids step on thorns anymore? I don't know.
We called them sand spurs in Central Florida, and,
But a thorn was thicker, and it was stronger, and it hurt so bad.
And it's much harder to get out. Yeah, thorn bush.
I stepped into a thorn bush over the weekend, because I got to tell you, I was not expecting Peyton Thorne to start. I said it on TV. He wasn't going to start. Thought Hank Brown was going to get the first snap. Didn't happen.
He didn't play at all. I mean, he didn't throw a pass. Peyton Thorne goes 22 of 32, 286 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks, which is the first time. Now, I get it. It's ULM. It's Law Mo. But he played well.
Yeah.
And what this tells me more than anything else about this game is y'all can chat all you want to, all you fans, I'm hearing it's this, I'm hearing it. What this tells me is if he's healthy, it's like Sonny Corleone said, if he's breathing, he's going to be your starting quarterback the rest of the way. Love it, hate it, can't stand it, whatever. He's going to be your guy.
He is your guy. All right, let's spin it again. Got a lot of categories to get to today. Spin that thing.
Eyes watering from John bringing up the thorn bush. Oh, my gosh.
I know it.
That was the
Hated
worst.
that when I was a kid. It hurt so bad. All right, the 25. Who is out in the college football top 25?
Yep.
Well, LSU definitely is out, taking their 3rd straight loss. Just don't worry about the off week. Some teams are moving up. As Luke said, where will Tennessee fall in the ratings? I'm not so, I guess I do need to look at the overall top 25. I'm more interested in the college football bracket, the 12 teams. But there certainly was a little movement in the top 25.
Yep. Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4. Again, those are the top 4, which has no bearing on anything in the AP top 25. Indiana still number 5, even though they're 10-0. Notre Dame 6. Alabama has moved up. Crimson Tide number 7 at 8-2, ahead of Georgia.
Yeah.
Ole Miss 9, Tennessee 10. So if you're looking around, 5 of the top 10 teams in college football in the AP poll are from the SEC: Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Boise State at number 12, SMU number 13. Also in the top 25, Texas A&M. South Carolina, number 19, big win against Missouri. And that's it. So 8 teams. Am I right? Did I have 5? I think that's right. 8 teams from the SEC in the top 25.
How about that? See, there again, that's going to help teams like Alabama. With all those conference teams in the top 25, schedule strength, differential in points scored and all that kind of stuff they use.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be big for SEC teams.
Yep.
All right, and it'll change next week. All right, we got 3 more on the Dreamland 777 topic, Will. Let's spin it and see what comes up this time. We are going to land on Mercedes-Benz. Didn't was it Pebbles or Peebles or whatever had a song called
that? Was Pebbles. It was called Mercedes Boy.
Oh, Mercedes
Do you want
Boy.
to ride my Mercedes Boy?
That is it. Man, I do remember that one.
Pebbles.
Who will end up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the SEC championship game? We've talked about Alabama's chances. If they win out, they're in. And Missouri wins 1 game. One of their 2. Missouri's got to beat Mississippi State or Arkansas. Bama's got to win out. They're in. If that's the case, who do you think they'll face? Who will Alabama play if that scenario plays out that I just described?
Well, like I said, I had not really paid much attention to it because being SEC champions does not necessarily resonate with certain fan bases. Certain fan bases don't care. But here's what it looks like anyway. Right now, the standings. And again, I was eating lunch yesterday after church with my wife Dee and my mom at Red's Little Schoolhouse, which is in Grady. We go every once in a while. It's a good little ride. Awesome. I'm riding back. I'm meeting, and a guy comes over to me. I wish I could have gotten his name, and he just without bidding or anything, he taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, I listen to Longshore and McKnight every day. Love you guys." Awesome. This is while I'm eating. My mom was like, "Wow, hey." So was I. Appreciate him very much. Then I got in the line to pay, and there's another gentleman who listens to us and watches us all the time, and we're talking about the SEC and all of that. Here's what, and he and I were talking about it, and I had to correct him real quick, even though he's a great guy. There are no divisions this year. He was saying, I don't know who's coming out of the West. And I said, well, there's nobody coming out of the West because there ain't no West anymore. It's all your top teams. Right now, Texas and Texas A&M are 5-1. One of them's going to lose because they play week after next.
They do.
So somebody will have 2 losses there.
A&M's Georgia, Auburn this week. Kentucky is at Texas. I'm with you, Barry. I think the Texas A&M winner. I'm kind of leaning Texas. I think Texas and Alabama might face off.
Rematch. Rematch from last year. So, yeah.
Be interesting to see. All right, Gert, spin that wheel. Let's see what's going up. We got to get to some basketball because somebody's asked us about it, but we'll see where the wheel lands. High school playoffs.
Oh,
this
boy.
Is for you, Robbie. We had some losses from some local teams, Barry, and I understand that Thompson-Auburn game was really good on Friday as well.
Yep. We watched a lot of high school football. In 7A, incredible game. Hoover at the Med beats Opelika by 3 in triple overtime. Whoa. So you got that. That was an incredible game. Opelika looked so good. Also, what else? Gosh, what else did we watch? Thompson wins at Auburn. Auburn was the number 1 team. Thompson came in, played really, really well. Enterprise beats Baker. So Enterprise is in. Central, a big win, a dominating win over Vestavia Hills. And like we mentioned, Hoover over Opelika. So in 7A, the semis, Thompson versus Enterprise on one side, and then Central versus Hoover in the other side. That game would be played in Phoenix City. The Thompson game would be played in Alabaster. So it's still in play with the state championship. And I think Thompson has appeared in the state championship game 5 straight years. The state championship game still could be Thompson versus Hoover for all of it. But I don't know. Central looked awfully good.
They sure did.
In
There's
the
your
second
high
round.
School playoff segment there for you, Robbie.
There you go.
The last one, unfortunately, it happened to be the topic that I was wanting to get to, and we had somebody ask about Alabama losing at Purdue. That happened on Friday night. I'll just say this, Barry. I know the season's young. I've heard a lot of talk about this Bama team, a lot of talk about this Auburn team. No, it's a young season, but here's my first initial thought. Right now, to me, I test Auburn is a better team than Alabama right now from what I've seen early on in the season.
Well, there's there's so much talent both ways. It's like they say about the difference between the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb. Which one's more powerful? It doesn't matter. Both of them can kill you. Both of them have that chance. Both of them, I think, can play for a national championship. Purdue surprised me. I knew they lost a lot. And Alabama's got several new guys that are still got to assimilate themselves in. But again, it's very, very early. You don't really know yet, but I think we're going to be talking positive things about Alabama and Auburn basketball all season long, John.
And Auburn plays tonight?
Yeah,
North
they play
Alabama?
tonight. That's against North Alabama tonight. I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to say something about that. They play North Alabama tonight. It'll be a late start. It'll be a 8:00 start time tonight on the SEC network. Auburn a 29.5-point favorite. There you go.
Alabama playing Illinois on Wednesday night.
Yep, that'll be in Tuscaloosa on the SEC. Another 8:00 start time. Illinois is pretty good. They've started out 3-0 as well.
Yeah, so there you have it. All right, Barry, tomorrow, as always, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, will join us here on the program. Travis Ryer, Talking Tide, Ryer on YouTube, both joining us via our City of Montgomery guest hotline. And, of course, your chats, your emails. We always want you to be a part of what we do here as well. Now, don't forget, we're streaming all day long. You can also check us out at yellowhammernews.com. There'll be a write-up. There'll be a link. There'll be some little highlight clips as well. So check that out at yellowhammernews.com later today. And also check out Yellowhammer News through all their social media platforms, X, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, they're on it.
Yeah, sorry to that guy who just texted me. Look, just Google Sidney Thomas, and you can see pictures of her. We couldn't throw it up there for you, okay? We were busy with real sports. In association with Yellowhammer News, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.